We are live. We're live. It's happening. Stephen Costello got the TDO in the network. It's actually written over here, but then it's cast over here. It's just, I think it's really dope. TDO network all day. We're live. So today I am like full Corona in need of a haircut. This is just wild. But I am so excited that all of you have joined me here today. Today, I'll just give you a quick, he's going to join us in 2 minutes. Who is he? He is Stephen Costello. Listen, Stephen Costello is, of course, a world-class tenor. He's, of course, an international star. He, of course, has sung all over the world main stages, blah, blah, blah. Bravo, Stephen. We get it. But, but what I'm so interested in is talking to him about his AVA experience, because anytime you can talk about AVA, for those of you who don't know, the Academy of Vocal Arts Institute is like the premier training opera program, arguably in the entire United States. So we'll talk to him a lot about that. And being there at the time, this time of Costello was there, plus Brian Hemel, plus Michael Fabiano, plus James Valenti, insanity. And so I'm looking forward to him joining us, and he should be joining us any second now. Oh, there he is.
Hey man, can you hear me?
Yeah, man, totally. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. How about you? How you all doing? Where are you in Dallas?
Yeah, I'm in Germany.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. New York.
Yeah, beautiful. Your hair looks. Did you get a fresh haircut?
No.
Your hair looks amazing.
No.
No? Oh, you're right.
Fifth on that one?
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking garbage over here. I would. It's unbelievable. I got to.
Yeah, but you got a full head, man. Like I feel like mine is like, when I was growing it longer, it just looked like, I looked homeless. It was terrible. I mean, it was really bad. It just kept
getting
good luck. Worse and worse.
Luck.
And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll keep it going. I'm already past the awkward stage, and then another awkward stage comes in. It doesn't really stay.
And that's the thing that people don't tell you is like, they're just like, just get through it. It's that first thing. No. There's like constant plateaus and crevices that you fall in with this garbage.
Absolutely. So hot, man. It gets, the longer it is, it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, you know?
Totally. Okay, man, that's all we wanted to talk about. It's just hair.
Great,
that's
fantastic.
Great. That was super awesome. Dope apartment building, by the way. Like,
yeah, hey,
behind you.
Wait a minute, ready? I'm gonna give you a little thing.
Oh, then we get the tour.
If you look across the street, see those balconies?
Yeah.
Piotr lives there. I can spy on him when he's sunbathing.
No way.
Yeah.
It's just like it's the Star Tenor block.
Actually, when this first happened, we were in quarantine. He was stuck in New York for a little bit, so we were doing like Morse code flashlight signals out the window.
Hey man, boredom manifests itself in a lot of different ways, doesn't it?
That's actually before we realized how long we were going to be stuck in here. And then he's like, I'm out. I'm going to Poland. See you.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And now he's like baking a cake every day and living his best Polish
life.
life.
Unbelievable, right? Not only can he sing like a dream, he can bake. It's like,
yeah, he bakes like professional quality cakes.
Oh yeah. I mean, those pictures are intense.
I know. It's just he's one of my favorite Insta opera followers.
Oh really?
Yeah. He's super good time. So there we go. Just like that, we're off and running. So obviously there's a lot of written about you. You're a star. We get it. We know your background, all of that. So we're gonna like skip that stuff. I am most interested in because I'm a self-described, but also other people think I call it an opera nerd. Some people say I have a problem. It's your decision. You decide. But I am blown away about this sort of infamous period at Academy of Vocal Arts where you know, not only were you, Fabiano, James Valenti, and Brian Hemel all there at the same sort of period, but on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, the three of you, Fabiano, Valenti, and yourself, were triple cast in a as Duke, and Hemel was singing in the chorus. Like, I can't. That's like too much for my little brain to like comprehend. Like, what in the world was that like?
Well, you know, an AVA is such a small school, right? So there's like 20. I think at the high point of students when I was there, meaning like the most in the school at one point was 28. So every student in the school that's not on a roll in that opera has to sing in the chorus. So at one point, we've all been in the chorus for each other.
Right.
Which is crazy because it's like it's like, you know, you wouldn't see that in like a regular
Totally.
performance at opera house, right?
Are you just like ripping in the chorus when your boy's singing and you're like, nah, this Caballetta's gonna have a lot of tenor one in the chorus?
Oh no, absolutely. You know, that's the thing. It's like even like in the caballettas, like if someone were to take like a high note or something, every tenor in the chorus after that would take the optional high note in the chorus. Like it's like,
absolutely. You can hear it in that amazing video, which don't leave the live stream to go watch it, but right after you should watch it. That video of you in 2006, you're singing, and you can see Fabiano over in the corner, and he's just like, "Oh, quale pensiero la gita, oh, quale pensiero la gita, come," and just screaming, mouth open.
yeah,
incredible.
You know, but it's funny. You think with people like that, it would be really competitive at AVA, and it wasn't really that competitive. Like we'd hang out on a regular basis. We'd all be in rehearsal together, singing, watching each other work on the roles and stuff like that. So like, it's funny because if you listen to each one of our now, say like Rigoletto, for instance, the Duke is something I'll study at ABA. If you watch all of our Dukes, there's always something that's similar because that's the way that we studied it at school. But no, it wasn't what people think. Like, oh man, it must have been a bloodbath. You guys must have hated each other. Sure. That's not true at all.
Well, I think what's interesting about ABA, you know, I've interviewed Marina Costa Jackson and a lot of people who've come through that system. It's so fascinating. You think that there would be a lot of infighting and a lot of bullshit, like that's what an outsider thinks, right? But in fact, like I think it's just so hard and such a wildly like specific environment that like all you have is your friend, like all you have is your people, and you're around them so much. Like, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's still a musical school, right? So you're all learning for your career. So you want to advance as much in those 4 years as you can, and you want to try to make your mark and try to find yourself as an artist in those 4 years. So, I mean, it's a lot of competition, don't get me wrong, but it's not like we're not competing against each other. It's the competition to push each other further and further, right?
Right.
So there are people that can't take that. I mean, because it is an intense situation. I mean, for instance, like we did Bohème at AVA, and at one point, every tenor in the school is assigned Rodolfo.
Sure.
And
and
cut it down to 2 casts. So if you have like 8 tenors, which probably, I think the most we had maybe was like 6 tenors at one time on a roll. So you're then like in rehearsals, and they're trying to narrow it down to 2 casts. So you don't so much want to do better than the other cast members. You want to do exactly what the music director wants you to do. So you want to shape it because that's the one who's going to go with for the performances, right? But also, it is a school, so you do have seniority. I mean, there were a couple of times where I was second cast to a guy. I don't know if you know Derek Taylor.
Of course, I know Derek Taylor. Yeah,
I was second cast in Bohème to Derek Taylor.
So, wow.
Senior,
I interviewed Derek Taylor on my regular podcast. I interviewed Derek.
Great guy. And so I was second cast to him, and because he was a senior, I was a second year. So, you know, it's crazy how it works. And we're literally in a room probably this size of a studio apartment. I mean, I'm talking small, like really small, maybe like 200 square feet or something.
Sure.
And there's a grand piano in there with the pianist. There's our music director, and then there's all casts of the opera, all the people that are on there, and we're all in there maybe 6 hours a day, just like working on 2 pages of music, and like even to the point where like you would stand up to sing, right? Like say we're getting for Kejalita Manina, right? And you and then you go to breathe, and nope, you're not ready. Sorry, you're not ready. And Maestro would stop. He's like, nope. I can see. You're not on the breath. You don't have.
Okay, but is he right? Like Microsource gets a lot of. Is he right?
Absolutely. You know, he Maestro Megasaurus is one of the reasons we all go to ABA. He's like a gem that is yet to be discovered by the entire opera world. People know him. People know his name. But not a lot of people, unless you've been to ABA, have actually seen him work. Yeah. So he's worked under Gavazzeni and Serafina at La Scala. His first coach at La Scala, they said, go in the room, coach the soprano. And he opens his doors, Renata Tebaldi.
Right.
So he worked with Di Stefano, Corelli, and all these people. So like, yeah, he knows. Like he knows it's all about the approach and the breath. If you're not set up properly on the breath, it doesn't matter what you do. By the end of the line, you're sunk. You know.
So then there's sort of like I don't know if you're a sports guy. I'm a big sports guy, but there's a new leadership has to develop over time. So like there's the players coach such as Pete Carroll who's like, oh, do we need an off day today? Take an off day. And then there's Bill Belichick who can't even say Tom Brady's name right after 6 Super Bowls, right? So I often think like there's the Armiliatos of the world, right? It's very like very comforting, very easy to sing for, a very nice guy. And then there's the Macasauruses of the world, and maybe you could call some, and Muti is somewhere in between or whatever. But like, do you think that is like that fosters a good environment for a singer? Like when
Yeah, look, I got to be honest. I've worked with Maestro Macasori, I've worked with Marco, I've worked with Muti. They're all kind of the same. It's just a different approach, right?
Sure.
It's not like Muti is a bastard guy. Muti's one of the nicest guys you're working with. If you know, talk to him, he's a great guy. It's just that his standards are so high, and it's not because he is being a bastard. It's he knows you can do it. Like, so he has to know you can do it, and he wants to push you to that level, and he wants to get the best out of you. And I know a few times. There was one time where I was doing a Costello in Salzburg with Muti conducting, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know the part of Costello, but like,
yeah,
fun part, but there's not really a lot of great line for you to sing, right?
It's one of those parts that like you get that's your big house debut in big houses, and like people are like, oh, what a good voice. Yeah.
And I debut in Salzburg, right? So I wanted to find a way to like make my mark in a way, because
Sure.
we have Carlos Alvarez, who's a god, singing Iago. We had Sasha Antonenko doing his first Otello, and he was killing it. And so, you know, I'm trying to make my mark in Salzburg in Costello, right?
Yeah.
So one line is like, right? And so I'm kind of milking it a little bit, you know,
of
because
course.
I want to get out there. I want people to hear it. And and he stops and he yells at me, because it was an orchestra rehearsal. He yells at me. He's like, no, you're too slow. You have to come with me, and this and that. And I was paranoid at that point. Like, oh God, Muti was upset. He was yelling at me. And then I went off in the break, and I said, Maestro, I just want to apologize. You know, of course I will follow you. And he goes, no, it's okay. He said, I just had to learn. I had to yell at you because I wanted you to learn. You can do it. I want you to learn. And it's just a different approach. You know, It doesn't work for everyone. I mean, don't get me wrong, but you know, in this business, you have to have thick skin, and you have to take out the comments where you think people are just being bastards, and then realize that people just want you to learn. I mean, there are some people that are bastards. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
There are some people that are just plain assholes that think their shit doesn't stink. But you know, some of the great conductors are not like that. They just want to push you to your limit.
Totally. And I also think like someone like James Conlon, who I was a young artist in LA, and then have worked with him a lot after. Like, I've been undressed by him a few times in front of a full orchestra, and he's pulled me down to the foot of the stage and said, just look at me. Don't move. Just look at me, because you can't walk and sing at the same time, apparently. Like, we've all had those. Those are nasty. But, like, in the end, like, you want to believe, and I believe this, that everyone has their best interest. It's just interesting. I think because no one knows Macasaurus, like even if I've never worked with Moody, I feel like I know him. I've seen him perform. I've seen him do interviews. Macasaurus is just this sort of mysterious figure in the night, and everyone's just like, you don't even know what it's like at AVA. And so you build it up in your head with this like big, crazy fantasy, you know?
Yeah. You know, I don't know. He's not, I never thought of him as a tyrant. He's tough. Like, he expects a lot from you. And it's mostly because, like, if you look at him, like, he would come in the morning before everyone else, and he would study the score, right? And then we would do 6 hours of rehearsal, and then he'd go into the studio by himself for another 4 hours after that, studying the score.
Right.
Like, by page. And I mean, you respect that, because you have to think, like, his mentality is, I'm doing all of this because I love the music, and you should be doing that too. And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, if you're gonna go and sing a piece, and someone's gonna pay you a ridiculous amount of money per performance, you want to go in there and do the best at that piece that you can.
100%.
Not wrong. Like, the people that are paying the tickets want you to do well. The people that are paying $400 a ticket in some houses they want the respect of you coming on and giving your best, and that's
that's all anyone wants. It's sort of that thing where like another sports thing that I find very interesting is like Kobe was screaming at Phil Jackson, the coach, and he's like, they're not giving their 100%. They're not giving their 100%. And so Phil had to bring him to the side, and these his teammates are like throwing up. They're killing themselves. And Phil said, one thing you're going to have to realize going forward is not everyone's 100% is yours. Like your 100% is more. And so I think that's sort of
same thing. Like have you been watching The Last Dance?
Have I been with bated breath?
I mean, it's fantastic. They're the best years of the Bulls, but you realize that, like, first of all, Michael Jordan couldn't win the championships on his own, right?
Right.
He had to start playing as a team player because even though he was the greatest basketball player of all time, he couldn't bring that team to a championship. And it was Phil Jackson as the coach that had to teach him not so much to play like a team, but realize there are other people on the court. You don't have to do this alone. And if we set it up and play a team game, you know, we can be unstoppable. And they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the same thing all great conductors do. It's like you may have, like, it's hard when you have like a star cast, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's usually led by a star conductor because why? Because you have so many different personalities on that stage. Everybody has their own thing that makes them special, and they want that to shine. It's the conductors to say, yes, you have that, but use it to the advantage of the team, meaning the cast, right?
Yeah.
So you have to get the cast to work as a group in order for it to come off, or else you just have 5 people singing on stage at their best that don't make any sense.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why conductors are held on such a high pedestal, and they always will be, because to some degree they're sort of the prism where, like, you got all these colors, all these artist colors, you got all these eccentric, crazy people that, and we just are. That's who we are, and they're doing all their things from all their different backgrounds, probably 5 different nations. Right? And 5 different mother tongues. And they, in order to form a beautiful rainbow and be sent out to the audience, they have to go through this prism first. And so absolutely. The conductor just gathers the light. Yeah.
Not just that. He's got to get 80 people in the orchestra to play their best.
I know.
At the same time that one person is either at their best or not in their best day. So he has to be cautious of what's going on stage. And then he has to get 80 people to follow that person and you have to make music. So, yeah. I mean, it's hard. That's why conductors that can do that are great, you know? And there are great conductors out there that you don't know about.
Right.
So it's
so crazy to me though. I'm full of metaphors today. I don't know. I woke up on the metaphor side of the building, but like I often think about conducting also like it's sort of chiropractic, because chiropractic, either you believe in it and you like double down on it and you think it's the best thing in the world, or you think it's like snake oil. Like you don't like you either and that's the thing about conducting is like you can see a poorly conducted show and still have an okay night.
You know, it's funny. Somebody just wrote, are you taking comments? Somebody wrote in the comment there. It says, where do singers go wrong reacting to conductors scolding? And I think it's their ego.
Yeah.
That's wrong. It's like if you're singing at the Met, you don't suck. Like you obviously are a good enough singer to sing in that opera house, or else they have hired you to do that, right? So you have to realize that the conductor only wants the best for you, you know, and if they say no, you're flat here, then you're probably flat. Or if it sounds
probably
tight, you probably sound tight. You know, you can't hear yourself sing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, oh, it's Flo. Hey, Flo, and then it's kind of like when you take it as like an attack on you, where are you going to go from there, right?
Right. And so, it's sort of checking that ego at the door. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if they ask you to do something, I've never experienced a conductor, and Muti included, that said, why are you doing it that way? You shouldn't do that way. This is how it should go.
Yeah.
I've never had that problem because they've always made a case about the music, what it was written. They've all read letters. They've read books. They've read things based on the writings of those composers. So they're only trying to broaden your perspective of that piece.
That is a very, very, I think a lot of conductors would be very honored to hear all of those words, because I think they think often that we're just sort of, I mean, it can be such an ego hit so often. I mean, as a bass baritone, maybe not so much, but as a soprano or a tenor, like part of leading a great cast as a tenor, I would assume, is like you do have a little bit, you gotta have a little bit of ego, right? I mean, you gotta have a little bit, there has to be a twinge of this sort of like you're fucking welcome, I'm here, listen to this C. Like, do you feel like you have to have a little bit of that?
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, you know what? Look, if you can hold a high C for like 4 bars, you can hold it for 8. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
when does enough become enough? You know, there are those moments where, yeah, there are those times where you go out there and you do it and you're having a good day. But if you do that on every kind of high note that goes by, it's just going to bring down the performance. You know,
Right.
people are going to say, yeah, it was great. He held every note long enough. Now music for the next
performance. It was a 6-hour Faust. It was incredible.
Yeah, it's just enough is enough. You know, you have to pick and choose those spots where they make sense with the music, make sense with the staging, the dramatic that's going on the stage, and yeah, you can't basically just go out there. I mean, could you imagine someone singing like Fi de Regiment, right?
Yeah.
Going for the 9 high Cs and holding each high C for like 10 measures?
Right.
It would suck. It would suck.
It's a bit of the gilding the lily. Although I would go to that if Camarena was singing it, I would go to that performance.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Fantastic, but when you're doing it in the opera, you're just kind of like, okay, now the dramatic.
No, totally.
You know?
So good. I every person I talk to, AVA person, I always start with Mac's source. So there's of course a Maestro Mac. Hey, kill me if I said that, but then there's this other side to AVA, and I'm curious about how this all works. So like, does Bill Schumann, who's the quote unquote tenor whisperer of the world, we're gonna hit him for 2 seconds. And now, how did they the first question is, how did they get along? Because I know in academia, often music staff doesn't line up with vocal staff. It's like, how does that? Do they get along?
Yeah. Okay. Maestro's one of these guys that everyone respects in general. Like,
okay,
he's just, you respect him. He's like, because of the work that he's put in, the knowledge he gives, and to be quite honest, he's never really been wrong on a singer. He's never like made a singer worse. He's never harmed their vocal ability. He's never done any of that. So you respect him. Everyone there has the same mutual respect for him, and everyone at AVA, it's such a small group and it's such a small school that they get along. They get along more so than I'd say a lot of other places. But they have arguments like anywhere else where, like, you know, somebody shouldn't be singing this, but they're going to, and maybe they shouldn't do this, or even like I know some of the other coaches that will go in and talk to the teachers, like Bill or whoever who was there at the time, and say, look, you know, your singer came into rehearsal unprepared and it's unacceptable. Maestro's done that too. And they tell them, like, look, remember, this is a school. This isn't a school to go out and win competitions. This is a school to be here and learn. And it's a school to fix your craft. And if they have a problem with that, then tell them not to come back. And it's true. I mean, ABA has produced a lot of great.
So it's set up sort of where your teacher is your like main advisor. Right. So is that true? Like, I don't want to misspeak. So your teacher's sort of like,
well, yeah. Here's the thing. When you're at AVA, you're getting 1 lesson a week from that teacher, right?
Yeah.
So you still have 4 other days that week, sometimes 5 if you work on a Saturday, where you're mostly with the coaching staff. So you go to your teacher to learn technical singing, right?
Yeah.
And go and you refine it with the coaches. And that's pretty much how it works. I mean, because you only have 1 lesson a week for an hour.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day you're coaching again, and the next couple of days you're coaching or you're working on a piece.
And do you find like so depending on which Bill you're with at the time, if it's Bill Stone or Bill Schumann, just 2 examples. Like, now does someone like Danielle Orlando, who's a coach there, I don't know if she's still there or not, but was there when you were there? Yeah. Yeah. So Danielle, genius coach, extraordinary coach. So does she take in account, because it is such a tight knit community, like, oh, this is how I coach Bill Stone students, this is how I coach, like, do you think, no, she just does Danielle coaching?
No, the thing is like, here's the thing. The coaches work with the singers more than the teachers do. Yeah. So the coaches learn your voice and know what your voice can do and what it does the best. And they bring that out and they try to make it easier. They don't, if you're really struggling on something, like if you're really struggling on a note or a high note and it's not working, then they'll maybe tell you to take it to your teacher, or maybe in a conference or something, they'll say to your teacher, this still isn't quite right. Maybe you can work on that this week, or maybe you can find a way
Sure.
to make it easier. But they don't like change their coaching style based on the teacher. I think that would just be ridiculous to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And actually, Danielle has never done that. She's a great coach, and she works with your voice and brings out your strengths and really helps you find who you are as an artist.
Totally. I just meant like, if there was like a fundamental difference in the way, like if you narrow through F and F sharp more as a Bill Stone student, then
you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that. Right.
Like, I don't know if you've ever done like a master class for people or worked with other singers, and it's like, they're all different because they all study with different teachers, and you can't base your teaching or your help in that master class based off the way that they study with their teacher, because you may not agree with the way they're doing things with their teacher. You may not agree with placement. You may not agree with the way that they're supporting. You may not agree with the fundamentals. So if you try to base your coaching off of the way that the teacher is teaching that student, you may end up getting them in trouble even more,
Well, did it ever because I'm just saying this because it would have gotten into my head, and maybe you're just like better at blocking that than me. But like, if I was studying with like at the current time, three other like star tenors, like you could hear that you guys were stars then. Go listen to the videos. Like, so you're studying with three other star tenors with the same teacher. Like, is there ever like, oh, that person has a lot of trouble there. Do I also have that same trouble? Like, do I also make those weird sounds on F sharp? Like,
no, because you're also working with those same guys in the same room on different things too, and every voice is different. Like for instance, look at Brian Email, right?
Yeah.
Brian, when he came out of AVA, he was a beast, right?
Beast.
So the rep that they did at AVA wasn't really Brian's rep. I mean, he still had a great voice while he was there.
Right.
But he really shined outside of AVA doing these big things that only like opera houses could do. They incorporate so many people.
Yeah, 5-act French opera.
Right?
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, when I was there, I think Brian and Michael did Così. Not Così, Don Giovanni.
Oh.
I mean, could you imagine Brian Email singing Don Giovanni?
Whoa.
He did like a load of performances of it too. And it was good.
I bet it was beautiful.
Yeah, I did Così at AVA. We've all done like, I did a what you call it? Don Curzio in Marriage of Figaro at AVA.
Così fan tutte le belle. It's hard. It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
That's fascinating. That environment just, and maybe, listen, I'm an outsider, right? And like, maybe when you're in the middle of it, it just sort of is what it is. But like, my only real interaction with anything to do with AVA is Danielle Orlando, Luis, her husband, was singing a role at Mobile Opera, and that's where I'm from, Mobile. And I was singing a small role in it, and it was Chenier, I think, or something. And we did Chenier in Mobile. It's crazy. And Danielle came down to play for rehearsals just because why not? And her husband. And she was like, look, she's like, you got a good voice. Like, you have something. Like, if you're ever up in the Philadelphia area, come take a coaching with me. I had no idea what a coaching was, like that whole thing, So I went there. I went to Spruce Street. I was in the area. I went to Philadelphia. And I was sitting there waiting on her. I walk into the hallowed halls, creaky floors, wooding, mahogany, intimidating place. And I walk in, and there's some tenor singing before me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is. And this is circa like 2010, 11, maybe. And he starts singing Que Gelida, and it's incredible. So he walks out, and it's Brian Email. And I walk in for my coaching as like a 21-year-old, and it was just like this place. I don't know. It sort of etched in my memory. It's just like, this is opera. Like,
yeah.
Smelly old wood, mahogany rehearsal rooms, weird random theater that's not really a theater. Just like,
yeah, it's not really a theater. It was a ballroom at one point.
I know, it's such a weird place. Like,
yeah,
it's just
stories that like people are telling about haunted, the ghosts or whatever that are
sure.
in it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think there's actually one documented case in Philadelphia where they had like a documented ghost encounter in AVA. It's actually, the police were there because they thought someone was in the building, and they heard them speaking, and they went through the whole building, and there was no one there.
So stupid. That's insane.
Yeah,
Listen, I'll take all of it. Was it the Jordan flu game, or did he have food poison? Like, I'll take all the legend.
They poisoned him. Let's be honest.
For sure. So it's interesting. in terms of sort of the flight of you and your colleagues, you know, you you just start out the gate. Like you're singing at all the great big places, and almost immediately. Like, what's that? You must have been totally prepared by AVA for that. But like going on at the Met at 26 and singing an Anna Bolena HD and all this like before you're 30. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because like, especially as a tenor, as a lyric tenor,
Yeah.
in your 20s, you still have a lot of growing up to do, right?
Right.
Like, but now you're growing up, but you're doing it on stage in front of a lot of people to see.
Right.
So make mistakes. They're not, normally they'd be small mistakes you can fix, but small mistakes are now major mistakes, you know? So
I mean, you didn't really get that chance to go. I mean, again, no offense to the regional companies in America, but you didn't get that chance to go to Toledo Opera or to Dayton and to
right.
sing these things. It was just like, boom, let's go. You're on. Let's go, big fella. Like, what is the pressure difference between, say, for instance, singing an opening night Duke with Fabiano screaming the chorus over your shoulder at AVA, with knowing that every beat is being microscopically picked over as it's being given, versus like doing an opening night at the Met with James Levine calling you in your dressing room months later?
That's more intimidating. I mean, that's way more intimidating than like AVA, for instance, because I mean, when you're at AVA, it's a safe environment. I mean, you're all friends there, you know?
That is so interesting that you say that, because Marina says the exact opposite. Because she's like, I'm so glad to be like out of that, because and maybe as a soprano it's different, I don't know, but like she was like, it was such an intense environment, and now like when you do the work, it's work, and it's just such an interesting dichotomy to see how the two of you see it, you know?
I don't know. You know, it's all different. You know, the pressure of like the Met is that when you're making your debut there or something like that, people are waiting for you to make your debut, and they want you to give them a reason to either really love you or to say, oh, they're overrated, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like all a public opinion. That's every opera house, right?
Yep.
For every like one person that likes you, there's two people that hate you or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's more pressure than anything, because you want everyone to like you all the time, even though it's impossible.
Right.
So yeah, I think look, ABA for me, I didn't find it that stressful. I think the most stressful thing about AVA was just being prepared on the level that you should be prepared at all the time.
Right.
Because I mean, from any day when you're competing with three people in a row, you can kick off at any second. So
crazy. That's so. I think that for me personally, I would much rather be in a like Met level. Like when I made my debut, it wasn't a huge role, but it was a sizable role with pretty nice singing. And when I made my debut, it was nerve-wracking for sure, but it was just like, oh, this is work. Whereas like school environments always gave me so much, like that extra level of like, it's got to be perfect no matter what. Always gave me that little extra anxiety.
Well, that's the one thing about Maestro Macasaurus that I love. Yeah, he was tough on you, but he encouraged you to take chances. So like, he would like, if you were singing something and you crack, he's like, why are you embarrassed? Don't be embarrassed. You're going in the right direction. If you're cracking, you're going because you're discovering it. You're figuring out the right way. He said, and the one thing that always stuck in my head at ABA that maybe it didn't stick in other people's heads was, do the work now.
Sure.
You have 4 years, you have this environment, tune out and do the work now.
Yeah.
Because when you're on stage, you don't have the opportunity to do that. When you're in a career, you don't have the opportunity or as many chances to do that. Yeah, you can work with a coach, you can work with a teacher.
Yeah.
But you don't have as many opportunities, especially in performance where you're still figuring it out, you know?
Yes. I mean, that's a great point. And I mean, he let you sing both high Ds in Rigoletto. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
One thing I can say about like me, Michael, and Brian, for instance, where we were all people that did the work at AVA, and we didn't leave that often, you know?
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that were at AVA and wanted to have careers. They were trying to have a career while they were at AVA, and you can see that they burned out already because they didn't get the foundation that they wanted.
And you can't, you know, it's tough because you're not making a ton of money. You're scraping by, but you got to have the sort of mindset of like, let me just barrel through this. I remember being a similar a similar story. I remember being a young artist, and I got offered a Beethoven 9 in like, I don't know, in Oregon somewhere. And it was like, it was like $5,000 for the weekend. But we had a performance of Monterone, we had a performance of, I only call the operas by the name of the role I'm singing. We had a performance of Rigoletto. And I'm singing Monterone, like with James Conlon, like stars all over. And I freaked out because they wouldn't release me because I would have had to arrive the day of the performance. And I remember like sitting there just like begging Josh Winograd and be like, you don't understand. And he's like, bro, I'm not releasing you for a Beethoven 9 in Oregon. So you got to have that sort of mindset of like, I'm settling in for these 4 years. It's going to be super You went all 4 years then?
Oh yeah. And I left maybe twice at the end of my 4 years to do like 2 jobs, and that was it. But there were people that were like first years, like, oh, I'm going off for the next couple months to do this, or second year saying, oh, I'm going to be here for like 1 production this year, and it doesn't work. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Look, as a tenor, for instance, right, your best years are like late 30s and 40s, and going through your 40s. They're your best years. You're in your prime there. Your voice is developed. You can tackle the things you want to tackle. And unless you've done the work up to that, you're never going to get there. So you don't want to burn out in your 20s, right?
Right.
You don't want to burn out in your 20s or early 30s because, I mean, your best years are still ahead of you. And if you go into the business too early and you burn out, you're never going to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I think it's this Faustian idea where you have to sort of make a decision. Like, do you sell your soul and have a blow up 5-year career and then hemorrhage and never sing again, or do you like be broke for 5 to 7 years longer than you would have been, and then have the longevity and have it like for instance, like it is amazing to me to read in the research to this interview, like you sing all the rep that all tenors want to sing, bar none. You sing the awesome shit. You sing the high stit, big lyric, beefy stuff. Like that's what I want to sing. That's what sopranos want to sing if they were being honest. Now you're gonna like switch gears and like just random. You're just like, I'll go sing a cozy. Why not? Like you should be in a cozy production right now. Like that is incredible to me, and it speaks so much to sort of your fortitude to like stick it out for 4 years. Because now randomly in your mid to late 30s, you can just be like, I'm just gonna go sing cozy. Like what's that?
I've always wanted to sing cozy because of all the Mozarts, I love that music the best for the tenor. I think it's the most bel canto role for tenor, besides like maybe Abduction or what's the other one? The one Matthew does so well.
For Detamar, Idomeneo.
Yeah, right, Idomeneo. So I've always wanted to do cozy, and the things that I loved about cozy were like the Jerry Hadley cozy, where you could sing it full, and then you could sing like you could get smaller, and
just like whoop.
Yeah, and I was never able to do that. Like I never had that much control or confidence to do that. And in the past couple of years, I've been working with a guy named Tony Manoli, who's fantastic, right? And has helped me regain control and get all that movement that I want. And that was the first
sort of blah, mixy, weepy high
but not
place.
That, to be able to like diminuendo on high notes, to be able to go full and then get soft and never lose body and feel good about it, and wake up every morning like, yo, I got complete control. So.
And not feel like a dusted, tired mess every morning when you wake up. Just like throw your chords on the ground.
No, I don't do that. Well, maybe in the shower, but not really.
Yeah.
But so I was like, my manager said, "You want to do cozy?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to do cozy. Yeah, I'm ready to do cozy." It's like I felt more ready now. Like,
really,
I think cozy is harder than the Duke.
Cozy for any voice type is hard as hell. But absolutely. Like for you especially with that big honking horn you got, like.
But again, I saw Piotr Bacalwad sing Don Giovanni in Salzburg, right?
Yeah.
And I hated the role of Ottavio, and I hated it because they make him into such a bitch, right? Like
they make him a cuckold,
right? So
the whole time, yeah.
But he sang it full lyric with his voice, and is fantastic. I was like, I would sing it if I can sing it that way.
That's so interesting.
And
so you were like, I mean, this is what's so crazy that people may not know. This is your official Mozart professional debut,
which is not happening, right? Yeah,
right. Well, not happening, but like, let's just say you did it and it was a star, and you were a star. You were amazing. But like, that is so crazy to me that like you're sort of going back, like the fact that you can do that is
Not
very
at all.
fascinating.
No, I'm not going backwards at all. I'm still going forward. You're still going forward. You're singing Cozy. You're not going backwards. You're going forward. That just means you now have the technique and control to get through something like that. But the thing about Mozart and being a high bel canto tenor, or even like a full lyric tenor, is it's not high, right? So you have to make sure when you're singing Mozart that you're still warming up your voice the same way you would for every other thing.
Right.
Continuing the flexibility, because you don't have, after like you do Cozy, what do you have, like 2 weeks to probably till your next job? So you have to still make sure that your voice has the flexibility to do that.
So then do you think that someone can like, do you see a season, three to 4 seasons from now, assuming opera is still a thing, 3 to 4 seasons from now, like, do you see a season where maybe you do 4 performances of Cozy in Berlin and do your Tosca debut in Amsterdam? Like, is that what you envision for yourself?
I don't know if I envision that, but I mean, it's possible.
You don't have a board, but like, you know what I mean? Like that.
You could do that. I mean, look at the tenors of the past. You ever see like Tucker's schedule, where like one day he sang like Radames, the next day he would sing Cozy, and the next day he would sing like like Ballo. Like, it's all in the same week. So I mean, look, every voice is different, right? Every voice is completely different. You know, some people can go out and have a drink and then the next day sing an incredible performance. I can't do that. Some people can some people, when they're singing a certain composer or a certain style, they can only sing that style. It's hard for them to back and forth. It really depends on your comfort, you know?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. So like, would you call, this is sketchy with Tony, would you call Tony your voice teacher, or would your coach, or would you call him, what do you call him?
Absolutely. I call my teacher.
Okay. So like he sees you through the whole process. So you're working on vocal. Obviously, he's a great pianist and a wonderful coach. So like he's sort of just, you only work the role with him before you get to a place.
Yeah, I'll work with him as much as possible, you know, and then I'll coach it with coaches wherever I am. It depends on where I am, you know. Yeah. I don't really, like, when I'm away in Europe and stuff, I'll work with him when I'm in New York, I should say that. Because I don't know. I'm going to take a lot of shit for it, especially in coaching right now. But I don't really believe in the Skype thing at the moment, you know?
Okay.
I find Skype lessons and taking lessons over the internet, there's so much you lose. And I have this terrible theory, and I'm probably going to get a lot of bad criticism, but
let's go.
All of these music schools that are making their students take Skype lessons, they're only going to have to, when this is all over and you can go back to not social distancing and get through it, you're only going to have to go back and restudy it. Because there's so many things that you can't hear about the voice over the computer, over a speaker, you know? And
I think that's true for someone like you, who's like it's all about nuance. But I think I've been teaching a lot of like 18 to 22-year-olds, and when they take a big breath and do like this, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some fundamentals that can be taught.
You can see that, but like, I mean, how much can you really see it? How much can you hear about overtones? And sometimes with feedback, it could sound like they're pushing when they're not. And so then you're trying to make singers back off when they shouldn't be backing off, when they should feel like
I never tell a singer to back off. I exclude you. I'm just like, push, make the biggest sound possible, get hired, and then figure it out.
No, I was always from the school of like, sing to where it's comfortable and you feel like you're on your breath and you're on your body. Because unless you have the control in your muscles and the control in the support in your air, you're never going to be able to sing a proper piano. You're never going to be able to sing different phrases in a certain way. So sing the aria through to the point where you feel like, you know,
absolutely,
you have complete support, complete airflow, nothing breaks up, and then start to mess with it, you know?
Totally. I couldn't agree more. So like,
but nowadays I see a lot of people that like, they're trying to get them to do like, oh no, this has to piano, sing this, but they can't. They don't have the physical ability yet to do that. So why, you know, it's like me saying, like, giving me a basketball and saying, just go slam, do a slam dunk. No, you have to slam here. It's like, I don't have the physical ability to do that.
And you don't know how to dribble yet. Right.
Yeah. Just don't worry. If you just practice, you'll get it. And it's like, no, I have to learn the approach. I have to learn the footwork. I have to learn, and then on top of it, I have to learn to get the physical muscle ability to do that.
And I think even more than that, like, you can't attempt the art before you have the technique. Like this whole thing where you want to like ask a young singer like, oh, don't push and just wah mix up and like, no, you don't just learn. Like today's my birthday actually. I turned 31 today. Thanks, man. So
What?
I do what?
Are you 15?
Yeah, 15. Yeah. So like I literally, and this is so stupid and crazy, but like I literally just learned how to like medium pull off of it, but still be on it.
Yeah.
Like literally 3 days ago. Like you and I've been singing for a decade. Like you gotta like just do it all the time, and so I think that that's really interesting. So
But then
what?
learn to do it. You have to learn to be able to do it in a performance, and then you have to then go back to all of the roles that you've already sung that already have muscle memory and learn how to do it there too.
Yep. And retool it. So what's the big thing? Listen, we don't have to do the Bill Schumann thing, but like, what is the big thing that sort of that you discovered with Tony? Now, did you start working with Tony like after the 2014 sort of period,
I started with
or
about 2017, right after I got married.
Okay. So what is that? Because for those of you who don't know, you have a lot on the internet talking about it, but you sort of had a bit of a crisis in 2014, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. And so what happened with Tony that unlocked this new, you know, what's crazy? I know this is a long-winded question, but it's interesting enough. I was listening to an old interview of you today, with Bing and Dennis. And, I don't know, those two guys. Yeah. And your speaking voice was sitting so low and back on your chords a bit. And I was like, that's so interesting. You just sounded a little tired. I literally today, it's like above 3 o'clock pinging into my face. Like I can just tell by your speaking voice that you're sitting in a different position. So like, what did you do with Tony that sort of unlocked that new way of thinking about it?
Well, you know, Tony basically is a great teacher in a way, right? So he's able to get the breath in the right position, get you to support properly, and also get you really lined up, right?
Right.
And he's been able to take away a lot of my tongue tension. He's been able to get my voice to go into the place all the time. And once you find that column, right?
Yeah.
Where the voice
column, I love column.
Yeah. It's free and the tongue is out of the way. You can play with so many things. And it didn't happen overnight. I mean, we've been working for, what is it? This summer it'll be 3 years now. So, you know, it's just basically dissecting the voice and working with Tony. The way he works and the way that he talks about breathing reminded me a lot about Mike Shemakasaurus. And I did some of my best singing working with Mike Shemakasaurus.
That's so is it like through, we don't have to get super technical, but is it through like vowels? Is it through like, what were you missing that you found? I think that's what I'm most, because dude, you were a jam up singer in 2010. Like no doubt about it. Like the top was there. You had this huge middle. I heard you sing Duke in 2014 and at HGO. In fact, I just saw your Gilda 5 seconds ago. We're in the same ensemble here, Uliana from 2014 at HGO. Yeah, she came over to wish me happy birthday. Oh, she didn't come over. We met outside.
Yeah, crazy thing. I'm McKinney doing his first Rigoletto. That was insane. That was insane, man.
Yeah, I saw all 7 performances. It was great.
He was great. I have to tell you, he worked so hard, man. He worked so hard because that's not a natural tessitura for him. Like,
no,
he has. Don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, he has the notes, but like to sustain that the entire night, he was great. He was really and a great guy. Really great guy to work with.
One of the most jam up dudes in the world. It's unbelievable. So I guess what I'm saying is like pre-2017, pre-Tony, you could sing, no doubt about it. So like, do you find that new release, that new placement, like, do you feel, I guess this is the question because I'm fucking long-winded, but it's my birthday, you know what I mean? Give me a break.
All right.
But like, do you feel like you're singing with a totally different technique today? Like, is there anything from 2006?
I feel like I'm singing with an easier technique.
What does that mean?
If that makes sense. I feel more free. I feel more open. I feel less tired. I feel less taxed. I feel that that when I wake up in the morning, I vocalize for a little bit. I feel the space. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's there. It's fine. I don't stress about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the last thing I did something in the a recital early this year with Tony, and the program was ambitious as fuck.
Right.
And it was, oh man, I can't remember right now. We started with like 4 aria and TK. So like
Okay.
Calamio Ben, Perla Guardia, Nina, and I can't remember the third one.
Nina's
They're
so
hard.
good.
They're hard. They're hard to sing because they're so exposed, right?
They're very, very, very hard.
And then we did a few Tulsi songs. I sang, I think, 6 arias. I sang the Don Sebastiano aria, which is has like what 3 high C's and a high D flat. I did the Parmi Rigoletto. I did the whole scene from Lucia, the last scene in Lucia.
You did all of Parmi?
Yeah, and not the cabaletta. I didn't do the cabaletta. There was no time. But I did the whole aria with the recitative in the beginning. I did the scene from Lucia, the Edgardo aria and stuff. And then, oh man, it was like a marathon of concerts. I think I sang like 10 high C's maybe in the concert. I don't know. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was insane. And at the end, I felt good. I could have did it again.
Really?
Yeah. And even Evans Mirages was there, who I've worked for throughout my career, who's seen me in different things. He's like, man, you sound like you can just keep going. And I was like, yeah, I would. I felt like I would. And it was actually, the recital was, I did the Tucker Gala the night before, and then I didn't finish that until about midnight, and I flew the next morning, did a rehearsal, and then we had the recital. So
after the Tucker Gala.
Yeah. So I felt good. I felt really good. I don't think I could do that before.
Well, and that's, yeah. I mean, it's sort of interesting to hear you say that, because you and I would be interested to know if you feel this way, like in that video in 2006, that Rigoletto video, which is for me just infamous because I just love it so much because it's ridiculous. Yeah. But you're screaming high D's, like the top is there. Like, was that you think that's just like you being young and amazing?
Yeah, here's the thing. I think it was being able to do it. I think it was also being young, because when you're that young, you've got nothing to prove. No one knows who you are. No one's like waiting to see like what you're doing. It's like there's no pressure. You're not trying to pack a house. You're not you're at AVA. You got 100 people in the audience maybe, and you have half the audience is the orchestra. So
right.
It's like you take the chances. And I think it's like once it's always that when you get into a business and then somebody like starts to get into your head, right?
Yeah.
Oh well, maybe. I remember I did something. I was at Michigan Opera Theater, right? Mm-hmm. And I was doing this piece called Cyrano. It wasn't an opera performance, right?
Yeah.
But it was a workshop for the piece. Yeah. And I remember, I don't even remember the guy's name, but like it was some coach that was also on the production, and he's drunk. And he gets in the elevator with me, and he looks at me and he goes, you're probably not going to have a career because you have a lot of tongue tension, and I just don't see you going much further. And I was like, first of all, fuck you. First, because it's inappropriate, right?
Brutal.
But it's like people like that in the business that try to but he's like, but I could probably help you. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to go work with you. And it's like people like that just want to try to make their mark on people that kind of give them doubt, that makes it hard.
I mean, people process drama in different ways, right? So he's probably frustrated about where he is, and he's just punching up, trying to see if he can bring others down. No, I think that's rampant in this business. And I think the thing that scares me so much in this business, and it's changing for the better, I think, believe it or not, something is changing for the better, is that the people sort of in charge, and the people in charge of casting and that kind of thing, like ears, I think are getting better. And I think people are starting to understand what singers do, how I think someone like Alexander Neef at Paris, who was a Santa Fe, like that dude, like I met him once and he was like, these are the things I think you would be good at. These are the things you could do in these plays. Like he was just like, boom. And so I think that's changing for the better. But we got in a period there where it was just sort of like people were casting and they didn't know they didn't know that it was called a vocal fold instead of a vocal cord. And so that gets a little sketchy.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. It's like, I mean, think about it. I mean, in the past, like, I don't know if it was always like this, but in the past couple of years, like the influx of like vocal students in universities has gone through the roof, right? Sure. So you get so many people. So then what do you do? Like, as you don't have enough teachers at that point. So then you bring in teachers, and some of them are like, you know, some of them are great. Teaching is an art, you know?
Sure.
There's teachers that teach the best, study teaching, and that's what they do.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you can't call yourself a teacher, and some people do that. You know, some people are like, "Oh, well, I could teach. I've been around people long enough. I could teach." And it's
Right.
like, no, you couldn't.
Right.
You know, it's a thing. It's like I like to help people sing, right? So like, someone comes to me like, I will help them. Will I be their
Sure.
teacher? No, I don't think so.
Right.
Because I'm going to send them to my teacher.
Sure. I mean, that's probably right. I think, like, you know, yeah, it's the question always of, like, the classic saying, like, those who can't teach, like, that's not true, certainly in opera, because, like, Stephen King, like, thank God for him, because that's who I've been with forever. Like, thank God for him, and thank God that he didn't, that, like, whatever his career life, he never really wanted that life, but, like, thank God he's a teacher, and thank God he has a heart for it, and the mind for it, and the patience to teach someone like me. Can you imagine having to teach me? Like, what the? It must be miserable. But like, he does it.
Tenors, it's terrible. It's not fun.
Yeah. I'm the best. I personally think, because I love tenors so much, is that I think opera only exists because of tenors. But I think, like, I would love to teach tenors. I can handle. I want all that ego, that craziness in the room. I want them to blow open the F sharp every time.
It's not you. It's like, but it's like, I mean, look, to be a tenor, it's unnatural what you do, right?
Yeah.
Like, of all the voice types, it's
100%.
unnatural.
Yep.
So you're trying to just, like, you're trying to sing your top, like, full voice with slight mixture of like head voice in it, and it's really unnatural.
I say this all the time. I think every voice type would quit if they had to sing an F sharp as a tenor once, just to know how weird and difficult and, like, navigating that is.
Yeah, you know what? I would say the hardest part for tenor is probably the end, the Rigoletto quartet, the
yeah, 2 B flats, no problem. Then you got to just keep.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's insane. And every production now I do a Rigoletto, it gets harder and harder to actually sing it because the staging gets so out of, like, whack.
Right.
You know?
Just stand and do the quartet. We'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard, but look, it's okay. Look, tenors get a lot of, but they also bring a lot of great music. So who cares?
They do.
Difficult for her to live with a tenor.
Yeah, I know. Life, you can't live with them, can't live without them. Well, look, hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on. They're going to kick us off in 2 minutes.
No worries. Pleasure.
It was a super, super good time. I really like what you're doing. I like your journey so much. Like, you fought through the battles. You've seen the best, you've seen the worst, and you've come out of it. And that's very.
Come on our show.
Yeah, I would love to. Me and Gideon David. You know Gideon? Yep. I did Bohem with him in Dallas. He did one performance.
Yeah, I show on Instagram Live every Monday.
Oh, awesome! I'd love to do that.
We just bring on people. We talk voice, and we usually bring on a guest that's not music related. Like this week, we're doing David Lomelí. He's coming on, and my cousin, who's a finance manager, is coming on to talk about singers and how musicians can start to help rebuild their financial portfolio after COVID, because we're all going to need it, right?
That's fascinating. That's fantastic. Yeah, man, I'd love to come and have a drink with you guys and hang out.
Oh, my wife said Facebook Live. She's following us now. My wife just clicked bottom. She's
Facebook Live.
She's trolling us now. She's trolling us.
Got it. I know for sure. That's very funny.
Yeah. Before you go, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about COVID-19? And what are your thoughts? Because my thoughts are, it's like no one knows when it's going to end, right? So people are trying to now rethink their whole careers or think about their strategy of how they can produce music online. And I don't know if they want to get paid or not, but how do you do that in this career when there's so much free content in classical music online all the time?
I think we have 17 seconds left, but I'll say this. I think no, it's okay. I think it is imperative for opera to constantly make itself known